Arab economies are on the verge of collapse, as multiple coordinated strikes on vital oil and gas infrastructure push the region's financial systems dangerously close to breaking point. After Israel bombs Iran's key gas field, the IRGC retaliates by setting Qatar's main gas facility ablaze, a fiery counterstrike that sends shockwaves across the Middle East. On camera, an Iranian missile is seen hitting a Saudi fuel depot believed to supply US fighter jets, marking a dramatic escalation in Tehran's military campaign. The UAE suspends operations at a major gas facility amid a wave of missile attacks, halting production as emergency protocols and evacuation orders go into effect. Arab governments cry foul even though Iran warned them before targeting key energy infrastructure. A panicked Qatar has officially admitted severe damage to its key gas infrastructure following the Iranian strikes and, in a dramatic move, expelled Iranian military personnel stationed at its embassy. Israel's strike on Iran's massive South Pars gas field on March 18 may have opened Pandora's box, unleashing a chain of retaliatory attacks that could reshape the Gulf's fragile balance of power. In a swift act of revenge, Iran targeted Qatar's main gas hub, the Ras Laffan industrial city in the north, dealing a heavy blow to one of the world's most critical energy facilities. Before the disruption, Ras Laffan supplied nearly 20% of global LNG output, but the war's sudden escalation has sent markets into chaos and energy prices spiraling. Qatar labeled Iran's attacks on its primary gas infrastructure a direct threat to its national security, calling the strikes reckless and unjustifiable under any circumstances. Doha lashed out at Tehran, accusing it of crossing all red lines, as the regional war intensifies and diplomatic tensions reach a breaking point. The Qatari Foreign Ministry went further, denouncing Iranian missile strikes on energy installations not only in Qatar but also across Saudi Arabia and the UAE. Reports now reveal that an Iranian missile strike on a Riyadh fuel depot used by US fighter jets was caught on camera, fueling outrage in Western defense circles. In the UAE, operations at the Habshan gas complex were suspended on March 18 after pieces of intercepted missile debris rained down near the facility, prompting emergency evacuations. The Bab oil field was also reportedly targeted in the volley of strikes, though initial reports confirm no immediate injuries among personnel on site. Qatar has warned that the ongoing attacks on Gulf energy infrastructure pose a grave risk to global energy stability, potentially triggering an international supply crisis. In a final diplomatic escalation, Doha declared several Iranian security attaches persona non grata, expelling them after the missile strikes to signal its anger and rejection of Tehran's actions. Qatar's foreign ministry said, quote, Qatar expresses its strong condemnation and denunciation of the brutal Iranian attack targeting Ras Laffan industrial city. Qatar considers this assault a dangerous escalation, a flagrant violation of its sovereignty, and a direct threat to its national security. The Ministry of Foreign Affairs affirms that the state of Qatar, despite distancing itself from this war since its outset and its commitment to avoiding any escalation, notes that the Iranian side persists in targeting it and neighboring countries, pursuing an irresponsible approach that undermines regional security and threatens international peace. Qatar condemned the attack as a blatant breach of United Nations Security Council Resolution 2817 and urgently appealed for international intervention to prevent further escalation in the Gulf. The Qatari government declared that it fully reserves the right to respond to any act of aggression, emphasizing that the principle of self-defense is firmly protected under international law. Qatar's state-run energy company confirmed that the fires ignited by the Iranian missile strikes had caused extensive structural and operational damage across key sections of its gas infrastructure. The energy company said, quote, Qatar Energy confirms that Ras Laffan industrial city this evening has been the subject of missile attacks. Emergency response teams were deployed immediately to contain the resulting fires, as extensive damage has been caused. All personnel have been accounted for and no casualties have been reported at this time. Iran had reportedly issued advance evacuation warnings for several major oil and gas facilities across Saudi Arabia, the UAE, and Qatar, signaling that imminent strikes on regional energy assets were coming. According to Iranian state media, Tehran had warned that retaliatory attacks would occur within hours, a declaration that sent oil markets and foreign governments scrambling for contingency plans. Global energy prices are already skyrocketing as the Strait of Hormuz remains closed, disrupting supply routes and amplifying fears of a prolonged oil and gas crisis. Handling nearly 20 million barrels of crude per day, the Strait of Hormuz serves as the transit point for roughly 1/5 of total global oil consumption, making its shutdown a devastating economic blow. The United States has so far failed to reopen the key maritime corridor, hence that appeals for naval support from allied nations have largely been ignored.
$25 करोड़ गरीब गरीबी को परास्त करके बाहर निकले।
For the good of our nation, let's work together and let's truly make America great again.
The fastest news breaks.
Requested PM saying that look, you will have to speak to Putin and to Zelensky.
The biggest newsmakers.
The relationship with India is probably the most important bilateral relationship the US will have for the rest of this century.
The capital delivered quite an election result today.
Expert analysis.
The million-dollar question today is how to stop this dance of death.
Ground reports.
I'm standing at the crossroad of the Kumbh Mela. Behind me are more than 100 entry ghats.
Long-form interviews.
Exclusionary politics is reflected in Manipur case as well. You don't bother because this is a small state.
Deep dive into burning issues.
It's often said DRC could be the richest country in the whole world. It's because of what sits underneath.
Why exactly did the US topple the Sheikh Hasina government?
HT videos. We don't just break news, we break it down.